So you've taken 2 months to build that foundation, get the basic lay of the land. It's solid. Now it's time to switch gears, focus more on pacing and endurance. This is Lewis, and he's looking to improve from a 156 to a 174 in the next 2.5 months. My name is Steve Schwartz, and I've been teaching the LSAT for the past 20 years. Today, Lewis is going to bring me his biggest LSAT challenges, and I'll help him address them as he looks to improve by 18, 20 points or more. So Lewis, where are you scoring right now?
So I just did a full length on Saturday. So I did a untimed first, and then without checking the answer key, once I'm done, I just done for the day. Until the next day, I did the entire test again while being untimed, doing a blind review. And the untimed one, I scored a 156, but the timed one, I got a 168.
So timed was 156, untimed was 168?
On the same test, yeah.
Okay, and what's your ultimate goal for test day?
I would like to, ambitious goal, I guess, 174.
Why not? Shoot high, right? Shoot high. Yeah. And how long do we have till your test? When are you taking it?
So I was thinking of April, but honestly, I think because of my own goal of 170, let's just say 170 plus, based on my current situation, I don't think, if I take a test in April, I'll probably mid 160. And what's the point? Why don't I wait for June and August instead of shooting for April and June? I think that's more realistic. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I mean, if you're looking to improve, say, 15, 20 points, June, roughly 2.5 months away, gives you a lot more time than April, which is at the moment, less than a month, right? So if you can more than double the duration between now and your test, you're going to give yourself a lot more time. But one factor, of course, is the time you can devote on average per week. So how many hours would you say you can put into your prep per week from now till the June test?
How many hours a week? I honestly, I was told I put in too much, that I need to actually take a break. I like full day break without LSAT. Currently, it's about there are days I do 6-7 hours, honestly. I just do the test section and I just literally go over all the wrong answers again and then do another section or do more questions and then I just keep going. But then recently it just feels a bit burned out.
Got it. Yeah, I mean 6-7 hours a day is a lot. And so are you able to study for the LSAT essentially full time?
Yeah, I can for now. Yeah.
Okay. So you're not working, not in school, just LSAT?
Currently, yeah, I didn't renew my contract with the work, so fully devoted on this right now.
Okay, amazing. That could really be a huge asset for you. Of course, we don't want you doing too much because we don't want you to burn out, but having the availability to study is definitely going to help. So this most recent result timed was a 156. I'm going to focus on timed because test day is timed. The untimed results are not quite as meaningful, except they tell you whether your accuracy is the issue or pacing. Lewis got a 168 untimed and a 156 timed. That 12-point gap tells us everything. His accuracy is clearly strong. When he has time, he gets questions right. But under pressure, he runs out of time and leaves 15 to 16 questions blank. So this isn't a content problem, it's a pacing problem. And if that's you too, here's what you need to know. Speed doesn't come from rushing, it comes from recognizing patterns faster. The fix is more timed practice, more exposure, more full exams, and back-to-back timed sections, and not spending all your time reviewing in untimed mode. At a certain point, you've got to simulate the pressure because that's what unlocks test day performance. When it comes down to that 156 result, are there any particular weak areas, either certain sections or certain question types that give you more trouble than others?
For that, because I did a prep 105, and that test I noticed there's a lot of inference questions, so that might skew it, but inference questions are the ones I got wrong the most.
Okay, so inference questions might be an area to focus on, but then beyond that, it sounds like pacing is really the biggest issue.
Yeah, so I was told that pacing will come naturally, because I did start studying 2 months ago, and they said that I'm still relatively new to the test because it's only been 2 months, but I'm not sure really. I thought my improvement was so slow the past couple weeks.
Yeah, I mean, pacing does come with time. You speed up as you develop more understanding, but you can also work on pacing in isolation by doing a ton of timed sections and a ton of full-length exams putting the untimed stuff to the side just because test day is going to be timed. So if we know pacing is your issue, let's take advantage of those 5, 6, 7 hours a day. Not saying you got to do the 7, but maybe more the 5 hours. But either way, you're putting in time doing timed exams, doing timed sections. So I'm curious to know, how many practice tests have you taken and how many timed sections have you done?
Timed? Honestly, that was my first timed full length because I've been told just focus on accuracy. So I've been doing everything untimed until now. As for the full length, that was my 4th, I think, full length. And for section, I actually don't know top of my head how many sections I've done so far. But I do have completely clean tests, that about like 11, 12 of them that I haven't touched yet. And I'm saving those for full length later on.
Okay. Well, the math here is interesting because if you have 11 or 12 full exams that you've never seen before, and you have about 11 weeks, give or take, till the June test, that could be 1 exam a week, full length, timed, real test day conditions, simulating the exam, and then reviewing afterwards. How does that sound to you as a plan?
Yeah, that sounds good. There are some tests that I only know 1 questions on the section because of live sessions, right? And then they just pick out some random ones from different sections. So yeah, I have a lot of them. I have about 12 that's clean. What you said is what I'm planning to do as well.
Perfect. All right. So that's a good action plan for doing timed exams, even just getting a basic background on where you're at and what you're doing. I'm curious about your review process. All right. So we've got here prep test 152, necessary assumption, the conclusion, the evidence, your analysis, running through all 5 answers, your takeaway. For that first one, the stimulus analysis was really detailed. For the next one, the analysis was a lot more brief with more discussion in the choices.
Yeah.
Are these examples fairly typical?
Yeah, I think what I do, some questions feels like there is not much going on, as in it's very straightforward stimulus, not much I need to really discuss for myself. And what was, and especially like fact sets, right? There's not really conclusion to discuss. So right. I skip those.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because inference questions oftentimes contain fact sets, and that's where you're having a bit more trouble. You mentioned earlier that might be a particular area to look at. And so for those, I agree there's not as much to dive deep into, but you could still look for what are the points of overlap. If there are sentences where there's some sort of inference one can make by combining 2 different sentences or 2 pieces of information, that yields new insight, and the right answer will likely relate to that connection.
Oh, points of overlap. Right. I should never thought of it like that.
Well, I mean, that's what an inference is, right? So an inference, if for example, with conditionals, you have A requires B, B requires C, B is the variable, that's the point of overlap between the 2. Yep. And so you connect based on that point of overlap, and that's what yields the inference or takeaway. You might benefit from, and we talked about, that 1 exam a week, reviewing in depth. You might also on the side drill some inference questions where you're just looking at these stimuli and you're seeing what is that point of overlap. What's the point of overlap? There's always going to be something. Yeah,
I think I'll do that because what I was doing prior to this practice test is for the flawed assumption questions and strongly supports or strength and weaken questions, I was really just drilling by looking at the stimulus and try to come up and look at for the gap in reasoning without looking at answer choices, and really just train the critical reasoning and reading aspect. And that really helped, I think. And so I think I'm going to do that for inference as well.
Good. I mean, divide and conquer, right? If you notice any question type giving you trouble, you drill that till it's no longer a point of concern. And then you're just coming back to the pacing with the individual sections. Lewis figured out that inference questions were giving him the most trouble. But here's where most students go wrong. They just keep doing more inference questions and hoping they'll get better. What I told Lewis is, drill like a strategist. Look at the stimulus only. Don't even peek at the answer choices yet. Just ask yourself, based on the stimulus, what must be true? And what is the overlap between different ideas? If you do that over and over, you're going to start seeing the logic behind the inferences, not just guessing based on gut feeling. This is the same strategy Lewis used to improve on necessary assumption questions and flaw questions. Now he's applying it to inference, and this shift is going to clean up one of the biggest blind spots in his prep. Hey, real quick guys, A lot of you have been asking me how you can be featured in one of these LSAT study breakdowns and get feedback on your approach. The only way is to join one of my LSAT coaching programs. You can check out the links below to find out more and to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out on your journey to getting a top LSAT score. And now, back to the show. I think you're overall here on the right track. I think this is a little bit tighter here, this paradox question, just because you're not spending time going over all 5 choices. You don't necessarily need to. You're not writing explanations here, right? You're looking at your thought process, what went wrong initially, and then upon reflection, what could you have done differently? So you're writing, these to me look a bit like explanations, which is good, but I would also look at what was your thought process going in initially, and then again, upon reflection, what could you have done differently? So I'm not seeing here like a first person I. Like I initially thought X, Y, Z, so I picked this choice. However, I realized later that I had misread this keyword or phrase. And so actually the answer is this other one for ABC reason.
Oh, use as first person, okay.
So I would try to do that because we're not looking to be like the all-powerful, omnipotent explanation writer who just knows everything. That's not what these are meant to do, right? I mean, a wrong answer notebook or journal, the point should really be, I think, to look at what are the wrong answer choices you're picking and why. And that why could be, I misread the stimulus. I misunderstood the question stem type. I was tempted by this particular element of a wrong answer choice, or I found this right answer choice unappealing.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying now.
Yeah, so I would try to take it more in that direction because I think that's going to yield more insights for you.
Gotcha, okay.
Like kind of you're thinking about like a post-game analysis of what could and should you have done differently, what can you do differently for the future. So is there an action plan or takeaway from your analysis of any given question?
Yeah, because right now, I guess analysis is what was going through my head when approaching this question. A lot of times when you see the answer journal and you realize that I focus, the way I present this conclusion score analysis, and it seems very, like you mentioned, like textbook or explanation, is because those were the things that are actually going through my head when I read these stimulus. But for the harder questions, I noticed that it's actually what separates hard questions and easy questions is really the answer choices from what I've noticed. Easy questions have 4 options that you can really easily eliminate if you really understand the stimulus. And for harder questions, they usually come down to 2 or 3 questions, answer choices that I'm just stuck on. And it's some subtle things. So I'm not sure how I should just really improve on picking up the subtlety, I guess. The
LSAT's a test of pattern recognition, right? So you pick up on the subtleties by being exposed to the tricks and traps a greater number of times and a greater variety of tricks and traps, that you recognize how a small difference in word choice or language can make a massive difference in terms of the consequences or the meaning of the statement. And so it's about seeing what's actually there, not what you think is there or hope is there or expect to be there. They have a whole massive bag of tricks on this test, and over time, as you get exposed to more of them and as you highlight those key takeaways, you'll be more likely to avoid making those same mistakes the next time around.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I think what you say about personalizing like using a first person perspective on why I picked, what tempted me to pick this answer choice, can probably present a trend that when I review this, I can see it and then avoid falling the same pitfall trap again.
Yeah, exactly. So I would aim to be more direct and clear about the thought process during the test versus the thought process during review, after having the clarity of knowing better what was the right answer and why the wrong answer was ultimately incorrect. So thought process during, thought process after, distinguish between those two.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I would adjust the review document in that way to give that more of an emphasis. And I think that'll be that combined with drilling inference questions, I think will help a great deal. The other big thing, of course, is more time to work over these next few months. So you've taken 2 months to build that foundation, get the basic lay of the land. It's solid. Now it's time, switch gears, focus more on pacing and endurance. Lewis had been writing these beautifully structured explanations in his review document like he was teaching a class. But the thing is, that's not what review is for. The goal isn't to sound smart, it's to get real about what your brain was doing in the moment. I told him, switch to writing in the first person, like, I thought this because, or I fell for this because, or what I missed was. That is the framework that helps you not make the same mistake again. And when you review like that consistently, you start spotting patterns in your thinking. And that's where the real growth happens.
So how do I work on pacing and endurance?
Yeah, by doing more work on pacing and more work on endurance. That means doing more individual timed sections. 35 minutes, full section, no breaks, no stopping the clock, more timed exams, 4 sections back to back, only a 10-minute break between sections 2 and 3. So with your schedule, with your availability, you could do at minimum 2 timed exams a week, review them in depth. On the days that you're not doing full exams, you're doing individual timed sections. For those other days, you could do 2 timed sections back to back, which gives you a little bit of endurance work, but without the massive load of a full exam.
2 times back to back. Okay. Yeah, I think that's doable. Yeah.
So out of the 7 days in the week, 2 of them are full-timed exams, 4 of them are sittings of 2 timed sections back to back, 1 day off to rest and relax. You could take that as a full day off doing 0 LSAT, or you could make it a much lighter day with just some minimal review if it would stress you out to not do anything.
Yeah.
Lewis asked me, how do I improve pacing and endurance? So I gave him a simple 7-day rhythm. 2 days, you do full timed exams with 4 sections back to back, only that 10-minute break in the middle. Then for 4 days, you do 2 timed sections back to back, and 1 remaining day of the week, you take a day off or you do some light review. That is it. This routine trains both your speed and your stamina. And if you do this consistently for just a few weeks, you're gonna notice 2 things. 1, you start finishing more questions. And 2, your brain stays sharper in sections 3 and 4, where most people crash. If you've got the time, like Lewis does, that's how you build LSAT endurance.
Yeah, what I noticed when I was doing the time test is I feel so pressured. When I see the clock ticking down, I feel pressure that I need to keep moving on. So I kind of just read the stimulus once and then kind of half understood it and then jump straight into answer choice. And then that results in me, because I don't understand the stimulus completely. So when I read answer choices, I don't understand. Everything looks so tempting. So I have to jump back to the stimulus and kind of waste a lot of time. But when I do blind review, even though it's a bit slower, I really make myself understand what the stimulus is talking about, what the author is trying to ask me. And then when I move on to the answer choice, I realize that answer choice really just jumps out. There's really just one clear answer choice. And that really speed up. So I think that's also something I need to work on, and don't get stressed by the time.
Well, we don't want you getting stressed by the time, but we also want you to be able to solve the questions in the time allotted, right?
Yeah.
So when it's untimed, of course, you can double check and triple check, double read and triple read and get full clarity, but that's not test day. And so we got to get you ready for test day, which means, can we let you read the stimulus thoroughly once, get it down solid, maybe spend an extra 10 seconds reducing your pace slightly to get it down solid, and then go on to the questions. So a little bit slower on that first read. So if initially the first read was going to take you 30 seconds, now it takes you 40 seconds. I'm just making up numbers here. But with increasing or slowing down by giving yourself an additional 33% to read the stimulus that much more thoroughly, could that then save you time in the long run by allowing you to avoid having to reread the entire thing after going to the choices? You have time here to experiment because you can study full time. You've got 2.5 months. And so you can try doing a section with one approach, try doing a section with a different approach, and see what yields better results.
Yeah, sure. I can experiment. I guess that because I'm going to change it to June, I have 3 months to really experiment stuff. So
you also have a lot of material available to you because you have these 11 or 12 untouched exams that you can do at a rate of 1 a week from now till the test. But then on top of that, you have a lot of individual sections from other exams that you haven't yet used. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. I feel like because I'm really striving for the 170 plus there's a lot I need to work on. As in, I need to pretty much master every question type, right? Because I know that if you're not aiming as high as this, there are some certain question types that you don't need to pay as much attention. For example, parallel reasoning. I think that's one of the ones, and maybe formal logic. They don't have the pressure to really get the level 4 questions right. But it's really frustrating to see that I'm still getting these level 4 questions wrong. And the 105 prep test I did, the section 1, I actually got all the level 3 and 4 questions wrong, right. The 4 questions I got wrong was surprisingly all the level 1s and 2s. That never happened. I don't know what to think of that, to be honest. Yeah.
Was it possible that you were overthinking on them or second guessing yourself?
I think so. And then also I just didn't read it as well. I kind of just skimmed over it and just fell for the traps.
Okay, so I'll say this. With anything on the LSAT, especially when you are doing fairly well, like you're above the 155 range, so you're in the high 150s, your abilities are beyond that, but you haven't unlocked it yet, you still need to read everything thoroughly. You can't ever not do the basics, right? But you can use the order of difficulty to your advantage, the knowledge of that, meaning that in logical reasoning, the first 10 are going to be on the easier side. Those are going to be your level 1s and level 2s largely, right? So those are as straightforward as they seem. There's no crazy tricks in there. And so go with your gut. Okay. For pacing, since we've mentioned pacing and time management's a thing we want to work on, I would recommend, with standard timing, aim to solve the first questions in roughly 10 minutes, a minute a question on average. Okay. You're then building up a time bank that you can then apply to the tougher questions later in the section that truly need it.
Gotcha, yeah. During the timed ones, I finished first 10 in 15 minutes right now.
Okay. So just shave a little bit more, reduce it over time. So 15 minutes, 14, 13, 12, ideally down to 10. This one hit me hard. Lewis told me he got all the level 4 questions right, but he missed a bunch of level 1 and level 2 questions. That's usually a sign of overthinking. When we're aiming for a 170 plus, we try so hard to be perfect that we start second guessing the easy stuff. So here's what I told him. First 10 questions, trust your gut, go fast on those. Save the mental energy for the curveballs later on. Perfection is the enemy of pacing. You can't afford to waste 3 minutes on question number 4 if it means you never even see question number 23. So build a time bank early and spend it wisely. Hey guys, real quick, if you're just getting started with your LSAT prep or you're looking for a quick refresher, you can grab your free easy LSAT cheat sheet linked below this video. It's jam-packed full of concrete actionable tactics you can take and apply to your LSAT prep right away for a quick score boost, and it's 100% free, linked below. And now, back to the show.
I guess lastly for reading comp. My reading comp is, I guess, solid, okay. Averaging around -2 to -4, or -3 a section. Do really want to get to -0 though if I can. I don't find any passage boring when I read it. But rather, when it comes to a topic I'm not familiar with, I find it very hard to digest and understand. Especially like, ironically, law stuff, humanity, some history stuff, right? And then just have many different perspectives. I kind of get lost when I'm reading it. And then that leads to me unable to answer the inference questions. Those hard or most strongly support. I'm not sure if you have any tips for that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of students find the law and humanities passages hard, just because it's the topic doesn't make it any easier. In fact, those can be just as complex and the wording can be just as tricky as anything else. My recommendation for you is going to be yet another drill. So take some of these older passages and 2 drills for you. One drill is to take the passage text, those 450 words, and rewrite the entire thing in simpler language.
Okay.
In your own words, paraphrasing like you were going to explain it to a 5-year-old. So that process of translating it, boiling it down more easily, more simply, that will show you that you've truly got it, and it'll force you to carefully consider every sentence and every phrase. Then you understand it well enough, the questions become easier. Yep. A lot of the time, just like in logical reasoning, the question's hard because we don't fully understand the stimulus. In reading comp, do we fully understand the passage?
Yep.
So that's one drill. The other drill is to read the passage, aiming to take away only the main idea the big picture, author's opinion, and then solve only those questions.
As in the question?
Yeah, so you're reading the passage, you're just taking away the main idea, big picture, author's opinion, and then solving only those questions associated with the passage, because every passage is going to have a couple global big picture questions like main idea, primary purpose, best title, tone, author's opinion. Knock those out. And I'm recommending this even though you mentioned inference, because this is like the orientation for the passage. And so we want to make sure first and foremost you've got the basic picture of the basic gist of the passage down.
Okay, sounds good.
Just keeping you oriented and focused on the core tenets of the passage. All right, so to recap, Lewis, for you, just big picture takeaways here. Going forward, more focus on timing, 2 timed exams a week, review them in depth, adjust your review document accordingly to focus a bit more on the first person, meaning my thought process before was this. However, upon reflection, I now realize that. Orient it more that way, but you're generally on the right track. On the days that you're not doing full exams, do 2 timed sections back to back and review those as well. Try to take 1 day off a week, or if not, at least do very minimal work on that 1 off day. Drill inference questions, drill reading comp like we just discussed. That's pretty much it. I mean, keep joining the live classes. If you need adjustments to your study plan, give it what you and I discussed. Just reach out to the team and they'll make those adjustments for you.
One last question is, from your perspective, when you see someone like me with a really big point difference between timed and untimed, over 10 points, what are your thoughts on this? Is my goal really achievable? Let's just ask with that.
That's always the question behind the question, right? So yes, it's achievable for a couple of reasons. One is that you still have 2.5 months, given that you're moving your test date to allow more time. You're more than doubling the remaining duration, which gives us a lot more time to do a lot more timed work. You've done relatively little timed work up to this point, having focused more on the foundation. And so this discrepancy between timed and untimed is just telling us that your focus on the fundamentals has gotten your accuracy pretty good, but you haven't yet worked on the timing yet, which is why your performance is suffering under timing. But with a 168 untimed, you're doing pretty well. I know that you want to be higher at the 174 plus, and you'll get there with time, but that improvement is going to come from a couple things. One, the accuracy improvement will come from more detailed review. It'll come from more drilling on your weak areas like inference. And then the timing will improve as you do a whole lot more timed exams and a whole lot more timed sections, which is why I'm recommending these adjustments to your study plan going forward.
Well, one of my concerns is 3 weeks ago, I did a untimed test. I got a 167. Considered only 1 point increase. I was very concerned. Granted, I think this test, the curve was a bit tough because I got, without counting the experiment, I got -8, but that was a 168. So I don't know. I feel like the improvement is just so minimum for me at the moment. I don't know if I can really break through. Go down to -5. It sounds so insane.
I hear you on that. I mean, the other thing I'll say is that we have very few data points here, right? These are just 2 different exam results and scores fluctuate. Yeah. So if you were to tell me I've taken 5 exams recently and the average of those is only 1 point higher, I'd be like, okay, well, there hasn't been much improvement perhaps. But here's the thing is that you will improve just through additional practice alone. You haven't done enough timed exams, period. If you were to do 10 more timed exams, that's going to lead to significant improvement both with pacing and endurance, naturally, because they're timed and they're full sittings. And then on top of that, your accuracy would also improve because you would have gotten more exposure from having done 10 more exams of material is another 1,000 questions. So I think you just need more exposure to the exam itself, especially under these conditions. And then that plus the detailed review. I think that's what's going to get you those next 15, 20 points.
Gotcha. So I just need to be more patient.
Give it more time, but also shift the focus of your studying away from foundation and fundamentals to more of the test day run-throughs.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome, Lewis. It was a pleasure. Before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest takeaway you got from our call today?
One is the review process, changing how I review into a more personalized method. Really highlight why I picked the wrong answer and why that answer is wrong, so I don't make the same mistake again. We also went over the review process, shifting gears into more of a performance on timing. We can also have time to change up on the strategies under time pressure as well, and we can test out different ways. And for reading comp, it will really be drilling really I think the paraphrase part, right? That's probably the best way to really understand if you understood. Right? Einstein said, if you can't understand to a 5-year-old, you just don't understand. You can't teach it to a 5-year-old, then you don't understand the subject. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome, Lewis. Well, it was a pleasure. You've got this. Keep at it. Follow the plan. If you have any questions or need anything, you can always reach out. I'm happy to help.
Yeah, thank you very much. Have a good rest of your day.
Have a good one, Lewis. Take care. Lewis asked me at the end of the call, can I really do this? 156 timed, 168 untimed, and now he wants a 174 or better on test day. My answer? Not only is it possible, it's likely, because he's already got the hardest part. The accuracy is there. What's missing is repetition under pressure, and he's got the time, the discipline, and the plan. All that's left is execution. So if you're watching this thinking, is it even realistic to go from the 150s to a top level score? The answer is yes, but not by doing more of what got you stuck. You've got to shift from passive review to active performance. That's the path Lewis is on now, and if you follow it too, your LSAT breakthrough is coming.